Hey, and welcome to another installment of Catching Up. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
I'm Josh.
And we're back. You guys do anything cool over the course of this past week?
Well, I hung out at Josh's new quiver, as he likes to call it. And
nice.
we watched Blade Trinity.
Yep.
Best Deadpool movie out so far.
Yeah. Blade 2 is still my favorite out of all the Blade movies.
That's fine.
I don't know, there's just something like with the kind of the Reavers, and they've got like that cool...
And it's got Ron Perlman, right?
It does have Ron Perlman.
That's sign of a quality movie.
Yeah. Well, it's also a sign of a Del Toro flick.
True.
I feel like that was what the big thing he did to get right before Hellboy.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I can do comic book movies too, guys.
I can do demon-y shit.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing he had done up until that point was Mimic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty sweet.
The biggest American thing, at least.
Yeah. He had, of course, done like the Orfanato and stuff like that, or Devil's Backbone.
Mm-hmm.
Jake, you do anything?
Nah, not really. I got nothing.
Okay.
I got nothing to bring to the table.
Sweet.
I got new headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, finally.
So I can finally hear what you guys are saying.
Yeah. You picked up Sticky Fingers
On vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been listening to the Stones a lot. Sam and I are roommates, and he's been, reading the Keith Richards autobiography, and it's kind of rubbed off on me. Wanting to check out some Stones stuff, so because I like the Stones, and I've listened to them before, but I've never really sat down. And it kind of one of the nice things at work, on Mondays, for example, I work by myself, and so I'm able to just put on music, whatever I want. Obviously, not like just crazy like metal shit.
You should bring in a record player.
Yeah, right. But so I can kind of like just put on whatever I want and kind of just zone out while I'm like working on the rack and doing other stuff and in the back issues. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just play a bunch of Stones albums all the way through, because I was like, I don't know what my favorite Stones album is. Exiles, they're considered their masterpiece and probably still is, but
in the same vein, I actually don't know what my favorite Who album is, because I've never listened to, like, except for Tommy, I've never listened to like an album.
Not even Who's Next?
Yeah. Not an
Who's
album
Next?
In its entirety.
Who's Next is definitely my favorite.
I've always been a just like by the song kind of person. This song or this song, and I jump around from album to album.
The famous cover for Who's Next is them standing there and that they pissed on the thing.
I have
they
that
couldn't
on vinyl.
They couldn't actually piss, and so they had to just spray water that it looked like they pissed on it. So a little behind the scenes magic, so you will. Anyway, so
You know what album cover sucks?
Oh,
Exile on Main Street.
Yeah, that one does suck. That album cover does kind of suck, but
I don't know what that looks like.
it's kind of like nothing. But I listened to Beggar's Banquet. Not so great album. The original album cover really sucks.
Yeah,
because it's basically a play on the White Album.
Yeah, but it's a return to form for the Rolling Stones.
It's probably my second favorite Rolling Stones album, and then I did Let It Bleed, which is such a badass title.
The best '60s Stones,
and a fantastic another classic album cover. And then I did Sticky Fingers, which is the famous front cover of the
Penis.
Yes, Penis. In jeans with a zipper.
Yeah, it's not just a peen sitting there.
No, not just a penis.
Nah, they gotta at least market it in the '70s.
And it was funny because they had a working zipper, which is one of the reasons I bought the vinyl I did, because it also came with like a special second vinyl with like extended version of Bitch or Brown Sugar with Eric Clapton on it and stuff like that. But it had the working zipper on it, which is the novelty classic thing. But when they released the album cover originally, or the album originally, the zipper was damaging all the vinyls because you'd stack them on top of each other and it would mess it up. So what they started to do because they already had the zippers, they couldn't get rid of them, was they would half unzip each vinyl. So the zipper was in the middle of the vinyl and wouldn't affect anything. So they had the half zipped, Anyway, it's a very fascinating story, I'm sure.
It's similar to Led Zeppelin 3 that has the little like pinwheel kind of thing. Last week I talked a lot about my friends Mary and Sarah.
Yeah.
Just to jump back to that, they were checking out my vinyls and they had no idea that Led Zeppelin 3 had the pinwheel because they've only ever seen the reprints where it's not there.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh!
Well, I know, like
that's my mom's favorite part of the album.
I'm wondering. I'm assuming some people didn't know that Sticky Fingers had a zipper, because a lot of the times on like the original album cover, like for the CD, it's just there's no zipper to be. You don't even have a zipper to be seen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I remember listening to that and I kept going back and listening to a bunch of songs off of that one. I was like, yeah, this is probably my favorite Stones. And then I was like, Exile, that's like their masterpiece. And I was listening to it, and I don't know if it was just I'd listened to 3 Stones albums in a row, but I was so fucking worn out by the Stones, and that's a double album, and it's just and it's just like the blues Stones,
it's bluesy Stones.
Bluesy Stones is cool, and I know that's some people's jam, but bluesy Stones is not my jam.
Is it disco Stones?
No.
Is it punk Stones?
It's rock and roll Stones. Okay. It's bitch.
80s synth Stones?
No, it's
rock and rolling Stones.
Yeah, it's it's bitch. It's brown sugar. Or like samba Stones, like which is Sympathy for the Devil, or Street Fighting Man. But
how ballsy is Sympathy for the Devil?
Sympathy for the Devil is insanely ballsy. I was talking to my parents about this last night at dinner. Mostly because they were alive when it came out. I'm just like, I read on the internet. But with the time when Mick Jagger was writing the lyrics for Sympathy for the Devil, he had a line in it, "Who killed Kennedy?" While they were recording the song, within the span of those couple months, Robert Kennedy was assassinated. So he changed the lyric to "Who killed the Kennedys" to make it more,
poignant.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, even in '68, the death of JFK was still a taboo.
It's the president was assassinated. Like, that's insanity. And so Jagger's sitting there. He's like, I was getting in the mindset to sing like the devil, and his vocals on that track are different than any vocal he's ever done before. There's something sly and like velvety and so creepy about his lyric, the way he sings on that song. And Sam and I were also talking. The thing about Jagger singing on a Stone song is, like, you can be the best singer in the world, and that doesn't mean shit when you're singing a Rolling Stone song. You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be something there. You have to believe in it, and you have to have this. I
think the best front man have no idea where they are. Like Mick Jagger or Jim Morrison, they're just like, when they're on stage, they're just in their own world.
Well, the thing is, they never second guess themselves. It's not about, I think I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that. No, they just do it, and not to the detriment of themselves or other people, but the idea that, like, when you watch Mick Jagger perform on stage, if he didn't believe in everything he was doing, it would look stupid. But it doesn't look stupid because that he's committed to 100% what he's doing, because it's fucking fantastic, man. Like, the Start Me Up video is probably my favorite Jagger moment of all time.
It just starts out with him just like dancing in the tightest possible outfit.
The best part about that video, without a doubt for me, is he's by himself doing just "Stop Me Up," and he's doing the famous thing on the shoulder, and he's doing like arrogance. But then the best part of that video, I swear to God, is as he starts to walk, he has this look in his eyes like, "Come, follow me." And then he reveals the band. He's like, "Look, here's my band," and they're all sitting there, and Keith is all kind of fucked up, and it's just, oh man, it's such a classic. But so yeah, I've been listening to the Stones nonstop. And
have you ever seen the music video for One Hit to the Body?
No.
It's basically they're Beat It or Another One Bites the Dust.
Uh-huh.
They're in this kind of, it looks like it could be in, I don't know, like a Nightmare on Elm Street film, or the Warriors, and they're just they're wearing the kind of Beat It leather and tight pants and everything, and it's Mick. They're walking around. Charlie Watts doesn't do anything as usual.
Of course. Well, he's the coolest fucking guy.
Just the most bored member of the Rolling Stones.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the point where Mick Jagger and Keith Richards are starting to fall out, and I don't know why they thought this was cool. I thought, they were cool with this, or maybe that's just where they were yeah, let's leave it all out. Because it's Mick Jagger's trying to grind up on Keith Richards, and Keith Richards, while playing the guitar, is beating the shit out of him. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But I was at because by the time this thing posts, classes will have started at George Mason, where I work, and I just came out of a meeting with the women's lacrosse team, where I was doing my Coach Carter speech and everything, trying to my stand and deliver, oh, we gotta stick together. You always miss all the shots you never take. But while we were having a banquet style dinner, I got to choose the music, and so I played the Stones, and nice. I was like, I will give $5 to the first player to tell me 2 members of the Rolling Stones. And everyone, all the girls immediately were like, Mick Jagger, and I was like, all right. And they all kind of
they didn't know.
One of them said Richard something. Needless to say, nobody got $5, but one of them, One of them was like Richard.
I thought like that had transcended generations. Like at least everyone knows about.
People don't know
Keith.
about the Beatles,
Yeah, I don't even know any of the Beatles.
Yeah. Well, we knew that.
Well.
That's not a surprise, though.
Yeah, no, you only know the entire cast of Justified.
Yeah.
Bringing it back.
Still haven't watched a single episode, guys.
Walton Goggins, the best member of the Beatles.
Yeah.
True that. Well, actually, while he was in the Beatles, he was going by Walter Goggins.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Silly me. Something that, speaking of television, that did premiere, Fear the Walking Dead spinoff.
Yeah.
Has since reared its ugly head. It kind of reminded me of 28 Days Later, the way it kind of started out. What did you
and
think
World War Z to a bit. The execution of the first episode, like, it didn't need to be an hour and a half. But I think this show could be really, really interesting as the time goes by.
Well, what I was interested about the premise is, for years, Robert Kirkman was like, I'll never show how the zombie apocalypse started.
Yeah.
Like, you'll have Rick's point of view.
Yeah.
How he just kind of jumped into it like a month or two later.
Much like 28 Days Later.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to be fair, I don't know if they're going to go back and show us, but it's kind of just erupting. You know what I mean? So it's a similar thing.
We see it on the ground. It's not like we see it from
and it's clever. The scariest thing about like these outbreak movies or shows and stuff is like they make it very insignificant little moments that are happening where it's like, hey, the school bus today came and like half the kids aren't on it, or the flu. A kid brings a knife to school and you're thinking, well, it's kind of like they have a metal detector, so they must be kind of like a rough school, a rough neighborhood.
It's like inner city. Los Angeles.
Or little things like that, or the fact that the one of the main characters is a drug addict, so like he doesn't know what to believe. He thinks it's all being made up because it's laced with something. Like the whole first episode, he's trying to figure out what his drugs are laced with to make him see these horrible, zombies or walkers or whatever. Because the opening was pretty cool. Him in a church or whatever, and he's looking for, I guess, his girlfriend or his friend or whatever, and he finds her and she's fucked up, like got a knife in her, and she's the classic like half her face is missing, she's chewing a dude's face off. And a lot of people were complaining like nothing happens in the first episode, and it's like, well, you can't have everything happen in the first episode because
if the entire premise of the first season is this is how it starts.
Yeah,
you don't unload your bag of tricks.
Yeah,
well,
it's
you're
also
talking about a TV show that's a spinoff of a show where the first episode they kill a horse. That was a huge thing.
Yeah. Was that the biggest thing that? No, the biggest thing that happened.
The bike walker.
Yeah, the bike walker.
Yeah,
I'm just saying a lot of people got pissed off at that dead horse, even though it's in the comics.
Oh,
yeah.
But I mean,
a lot of people get pissed off over stupid stuff. So,
true.
But the thing is that like
fucking fiction.
Yeah, they I think the thing that's going to make the show interesting and possibly hopefully really good is the slow burn of it just getting worse and worse and worse.
They realize it's not like just like dudes that are suspected of like
because they're still
salts,
they're still kind of weird. There's that shot of like their girls in the school are watching the video of like
that's for me the most effective moment is when they see, I guess, a newscast or something.
Yeah.
Of basically...
It looked like it was like a traffic stop where the cops pulled over somebody or something like that.
It looked like a car accident, and then the people that died in the car accident don't stay dead.
Yeah. And they had because like, again, it's one of those things, we know how bad it is as an audience.
But the cops don't.
The cast doesn't. There's that scene where like and I don't remember their names, but the son who's the drug addict is like, getting an IV, and he's like, because he gets hit by a car in the beginning of the episode, and he's in in the hospital bed, and the guy next to him is this old man, and he's like breathing his last, and we know like, oh shit, that's not good, because we know what's going to happen. He's going to turn and shit. But again, everyone else is just treating it like it's a normal.
It's like the beginning of Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Where like everyone's like falling sick or like whatever.
Yeah.
It was okay. It's only, I think, a 6-episode season, but it's already been renewed for a second full season.
Yeah.
And they already have a special planned for it as well.
Well, it's like a web series,
a holiday special?
Well, they
like Dead Air, like Dead Rising, or Left 4 Dead style.
Yeah, well, they have this thing where they're going to show like one of the outbreaks that took place on an airplane that I believe is partly going to air like segments in between episodes, and then have like a full unedited break part, I think, like online or something like that as well.
Well, they've had similar web series before, like where you see what happens to Bicycle Chick and where you see
happens to Doomsday from Smallville in the tank.
That Doomsday from Smallville, Sam Witwer was originally, the season 2 premiere was originally supposed to be, you see how that tank gets to where it does in Atlanta. It's basically like Black Hawk Down, but with like zombies. Like they're in the middle of like this urban area, and you see like Andrea and Dale and stuff like among the refugees trying to get out. And one by one, this like squad is like picked off by
like
zombies.
Fury.
Yeah, as they're moving through, and Sam Witwer is mortally wounded by walkers, and he falls into the tank and dies, and we know how that happens. Because it was always weird to me that Sam Witwer, like a fairly well-known character, I mean, fucking Starkiller,
Yeah, right.
It's just a one-off walker in like episode like 1 or 2. But yeah, that was Frank Darabont's original plan for the season 2 premiere, and AMC's like, we don't have the budget for that, and he's like, well, I want it, and they're like, we don't have the budget for you.
Yes,
and then he quit.
Yeah. He did that one show with Shane. What's his face?
Mob City.
Mob City. Yeah.
Simon Pegg's in that too.
Is he?
It also did not get renewed for a second season.
Oh,
so TNT apparently didn't have that budget. No cable has that, but unless it's like HBO money.
Wait, doesn't TNT have Falling Skies?
Does final season starts nowish?
Yeah. Well, okay. Now we know why they don't have the budget. They're throwing it all to that one show.
Yeah, you get Stevens.
They're like that's the one with Noah Wiley, right? Yeah. And Doug Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Jones is in it. So that's
Isn't Hank from Breaking Bad?
He's one of the aliens.
No,
in
that's
it, right?
Under the Dome.
Under the Dome. Okay, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sons of Liberty, where he's sexy Ben Franklin.
That's right. Yeah.
Isn't Ben Franklin always sexy?
Ben Franklin.
Yeah. No, I watch Sleepy Hollow. Ben Franklin is always sexy.
Right on. Now I have a reason to watch Sleepy Hollow. I didn't before.
Yeah.
Oh,
now you've.
Sam, I could give you plenty of reasons to watch that show.
I remember watching that first episode of Sleepy Hollow and being like, "What?
I just need 4 genitals. Just count your genitals.
It's good use of dead air."
Yeah. What was the Michael Bay's got the TNT show, The Last Ship.
Yeah, The Last Ship. Yeah.
That's where all that fucking money goes. Michael Bay and Steven Spielberg shows.
Yeah.
But they renewed The Librarians, didn't they?
Yes. Second season starts.
So fucking excited.
Can't fake that.
You could hear the erection.
Yeah, you can't fake that.
I want to say
Tearing
next
through
month
his jeans.
or October.
I really wanted that show to be more exciting or better, like more interesting to me.
Like the
I really liked
TV
the
movies,
yeah,
right?
I saw all 4 of the movies like 4 or 5 years ago. Like when the 3rd movie came out, I watched all 3 of them, and I loved them. And the show was just like, no, Wiley's not in it.
So you watched it from like beginning to end, the first season?
I watched the first half of the first season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I
like
tried...
Jackie Brown, you didn't let it fully sink in and get to the good
parts.
parts.
You know what?
Did you try Jackie Brown?
Yes. Jackie Brown is a 2.5-hour movie. I watched a whole hour, and it didn't get interesting.
Yeah, that's what the second half is for.
No. You're like the people that when I started watching The Last Airbender, the TV show, I watched... You know, I sat there and I watched it, and I was like, I don't know, I don't really like this first half of the season. And people were like, oh no, you gotta finish the whole season. I was like, all right, fine, I'll finish the whole season. I didn't really like it then. It's like, well, you gotta watch the second season. I'm like, no, fuck you. I'm not gonna watch an entire first season just so I can watch a good second season. Should have told me that the second season was good, and I would have been like, well, I'm not gonna watch that because I need to watch the first season in order to watch the second season.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't watched that show either, so.
It's all right, the movie's great. Just watch that.
Oh, okay.
It actually... A lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but I saw the movie after watching the first season, and it's a much more concise story of the exact same events.
Oh, okay.
I will agree with you.
Is there a twist in the movie?
Everyone calm down. I will agree with you. M. Night Shyamalan did a terrible job directing it, but that show works in like a 2-hour or an hour and a half, whatever you want to call it, works in a compressed format like that.
Yeah, because it's for the attention span of a child.
Yeah.
Of course it would fit in like 2
like
hours.
Me.
I never saw it.
Anyway, yes, Jackie Brown is horrible. It is boring and nothing happens. I can't wait to do commentary on it.
Yeah, because it's your favorite Tarantino film?
Yes.
It's all right. We're going to have Reservoir Dogs as well.
That's fine.
Yeah, but everybody likes Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a palate cleanser.
I'm picking Pulp Fiction.
Everyone likes Pulp Fiction.
Maybe,
I know. Everyone loves Pulp Fiction.
Maybe I'll have to pick Death Proof now so I can be like on Team Josh because everyone seems to hate that movie. I love Death Proof, but everyone seems to hate that movie.
My biggest problem with Death Proof was that it was coupled with Planet Terror.
Yeah.
And Planet Terror was such a different and more exciting movie. I think if I watched Death Proof by itself, I'd be able to enjoy it a lot more than I did when I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a Tarantino film that you have to wait till, like, what, the very end to get any real action out of it?
No,
It kills the women.
yeah, there's
The
takes
bar scene.
a tire to the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it really gets going in the end.
The most interesting thing that happens in the first hour of Jackie Brown is that Sam Jackson shoots Chris Tucker off screen.
Well, I mean, if you're talking from an action sense, sure.
From a story sense, nothing's. All they're doing is fucking talking about guns.
Yeah, the dialogue is
And
great.
no, it's not. Quentin Tarantino, like, yes, I've seen every other Quentin Tarantino movie. He is a fucking talker. Like the fucking the first scene of Inglourious Bastards is just Christoph Waltz jerking himself off.
Oh, it's
Jesus.
fantastic.
And
The
it's
monologue
beautiful.
in that.
He does it so
That's
well.
what gets him his Oscar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like one of the opening scene, more or less the opening scene of Jackie Brown, like discounting or not discounting, but whatever, discounting Jackie Brown going through the airport. Like the first real scene where something happens, where Robert De Niro and Sam Jackson are talking on the couch. Well, Sam Jackson is talking at Robert De Niro on the couch. Like that's a cool, like Quentin Tarantino talky scene. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe now that I've gotten a little bit older and I can respect like a talkie, so to speak.
Talkie.
Yeah, where there's a lot of
From the
talk.
20s.
Yeah.
I tell you, this one's got sound.
Sound pictures are going to be just the latest craze. Silence the way to go, you see?
Nah, sound's on its way out. It's just a fad, like that internet.
The Tarantino's rationale for adapting Jackie Brown, which was originally an Elmore Leonard book, was that he wanted everyone. The bar was set so fucking high with Pulp Fiction. He's like, I can't do something as flashy. I can't. It's going to draw immediate comparison. So he was like, I'm just going to do this really mature, much more deliberately paced flick. That was his personal rationale with doing following up Pulp Fiction with Jackie Brown. Would the Quentin Tarantino of post Jackie Brown, now that he's got that movie out of his system, do another Jackie Brown? Probably not.
He hasn't.
Not to date. And he's done like what, 2 Kill Bills. Some people consider that one movie, but they were theatrically released separate. Come on.
He considers it one movie.
He does.
But I agree. They were separate, and to my knowledge, they haven't been combined. He talked about combining them and like kind of re-editing it.
You could get a region-free version called The Whole Bloody Affair.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But since then he's done. Is 4 Rooms your favorite Tarantino film?
4 Rooms is an amazing Tarantino. Well, it's Tarantino's segment.
I haven't even heard of this.
Oh, one of Tim Roth's best acting credits as the bellhop, right? Yeah. So it's
Wait. No, I might have.
It's like, don't kill the airtime.
Oh, wait.
I'm the one that's supposed to grind things to a halt.
He's filling out requests for several people in a hotel that
he's the
just
bellhop.
they just get
Yeah,
more and more outrageous and insane. Yes, I have seen this.
For the audience that has not, because it is a smaller film. It's what's known as a portmanteau.
It's on Netflix, isn't it?
Sure. You know what? There's a lot of things on Netflix. There's a lot. I haven't seen Zombievers. That's on Netflix. Anyway. Sorry, it just keeps coming up on my suggested things, and I'm like, one of these days I will see it, but I'm kind of spent on zombies right now. But so 4 Rooms, for who hasn't seen it, because apparently not everyone watches everything on Netflix. It's a portmanteau, which means that it's a collection of several different stories kind of blended together using, in this instance, the bellhop of a hotel played by Tim Roth. It takes place over the course of one night, and it's 4 writers, 4 directors, or in Quentin Tarantino's case, they're one and the same. But so each one gets like a 20-minute segment or something like that where they tell a story, and it just focuses on one room of this hotel, or each story focuses on a different room. There's one where it's a coven of witches trying to do like a human sacrifice, and they try to sacrifice Tim Roth, if I remember correctly. There's one directed by Robert Rodriguez where it's 2 kids that find a dead hooker in their bed.
It was, interestingly enough, it was the inspiration for Spy Kids.
Yeah. It's where he got the idea of doing a kids movie. Because he had so much fun working with kids. If I remember correctly, one of them is his son. Possibly.
Possibly, yeah. But
Yeah.
it was the idea because
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas is their dad, and they were just like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, let's totally
He
do this."
loves working with Antonio Banderas. And then there's another one, and I forget what happens in that one. But then Quentin Tarantino's is an homage to an old Twilight Zone episode where a man bets his pinky finger on whether or not his lighter can light 10 times in a row, and they get the bellhop to be the one that holds the cleaver because none of them want to cut off their friend. It's like a bachelor party or something like that. And one of the guys is played by Bruce Willis, and he's not credited because it wasn't a SAG picture. But it's really funny, and I highly recommend all of you check it out. Best work Tim Roth has ever done. There, I said it. I don't mean it, but I said it.
Well, that and Lie to Me.
Sure. Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it.
No, me neither.
Television show on Fox.
Yeah, my
I'm
mom
aware
loves it.
what it is. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen. No, I've seen Justified.
John Cena. No one's seen John Cena.
Not lately. Not since SummerSlam. But the
I mean, he was on Raw the next night, but
yeah. Yes. But the yeah, so I don't know, Jackie Brown's my least favorite. I still enjoy it, but it's so like Chris was kind of alluding to. It's slow.
like now after you said the thing about him deliberately slowing it down, like I'm like, okay, I can see where he's coming from, but I think he overcompensated, and it's just hard to watch.
It's a Tarantino film that doesn't feel like a Tarantino film.
Yeah. It feels almost like one of those like French, just like,
Yeah.
look at how beautiful our
Shots
are and how wonderful our dialogue sounds.
Yeah. It's
Which
I
usually works for
I
Quentin
still
Tarantino.
enjoy the film. It's got Keaton.
It does have Keaton.
Yeah. That's
And-
always going to give it bonus points.
And it has what's his name who plays Buck in Kill Bill. He's
Michael
Keaton.
Madsen?
Yeah, no. Is it Michael Madsen?
Oh no. The guy from the hospital, right? Yeah, Buck. I'm
Yeah,
here
who
to
owns
Buck.
the Pussy Wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah. He plays Keaton's partner.
That's right, yeah. And of course it's got Pam Grier. I forgot that Pam Grier was in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Rufus in disguise.
Mm-hmm. Nope. For a second I thought I was going to remember what her actual character's name is.
Ms. Woodrow.
Yeah.
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 A sister. Oh.
Yeah.
You have a twin sister.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's for me. It's always been between Pulp Fiction and Inglourious Bastards. But Pulp Fiction gets the edge. It's had more years where I can kind of develop my appreciation.
It does
for
have
it.
you too. The Edge.
Yep.
Yep.
There's that grind to a halt.
Yeah.
Appropriate response.
So, but yeah, you're always Django, right?
Yeah, it's funny because, I'm like, I love a good Western, but it's funny because when I say that, like, Inglourious Bastards is almost more of a spaghetti Western than, Django Unchained is.
So you must be super excited for Hateful Eight.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because
But
I am.
oh yeah, but for me, it's between Inglourious and Django. Before either of those came out, my favorite was Reservoir Dogs. And I
Respect.
actually, Bones. And then I actually really do enjoy Death Proof. I love Kurt Russell's turn. He's like this menacing figure in the beginning, and then in the end, he's just this little sniveling, whiny bitch, and it's fucking great.
Axe kicked to the face.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, I've actually never seen The Four Rooms.
No?
I'll have to check that
Well,
out.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
Why
supposedly.
haven't you seen it?
Yeah, is Lie to Me on Netflix?
I don't believe so.
Remember in Pulp Fiction when he gets Tim Roth gets shot and he goes, "Fucking shot,
Yeah.
fucking shot me," and he's just like, "Look at this shot," and he's just talking like all crazy. That's what I remember most about Pulp Fiction.
Not the slow walk with the sunglasses.
No, it's more. Actually, I remember the Gimp is what I remember more in Pulp Fiction.
To confirm, yes, Four Rooms is currently streaming on Netflix.
You know what? Real quick, if because we're talking about like.
Yeah, good, Josh.
Yeah.
And to confirm, so is Lie to Me.
Oh, fantastic!
Then
I'll
why
get a-
haven't you seen it? It's on Netflix.
Is Walton Goggins in it?
No.
Josh.
No, he is not.
Damn it. But speaking of Robert Rodriguez, it's a movie that he did that I wasn't really big on when I saw it in theaters, and I watched it later on, and I was like, fuck yeah.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
No.
Because that's an amazing movie.
Once Upon a Time in Mexico?
Once Upon a Time in Mexico. When I saw it in theaters, I was like, it's all right, whatever. And then I caught it on, like, FX or one of those, like, dinner and a movie things years later, and I was like, man, this movie's fucking awesome. I love Johnny Depp in that movie.
You know what he's doing to commemorate the 20th anniversary of El Mariachi?
What?
He is making another film because the shooting.
Those movies are fucking.
Well, the production budget on El Mariachi was $7,000.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like,
he's doing a movie for $7,000.
Is he really?
To prove he can still do it.
That's fucking
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
He's cool, man. He gave up his SAG card
for free.
He gave up his SAG card. So Frank Miller, director,
DGA card.
yeah, DGA card. So direct Miller.
Mhm.
Frank Miller could direct scenes from Sin City,
And
that's fucking awesome.
and he accepted $1 to do the soundtrack for one of Quentin's movies because the guild wouldn't let him do it for free.
Yeah. He also is the guy that created the El Rey network.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Which is
really?
a great network.
Yeah, that's the entire reason the Dusk Till Dawn series exists, because he's like, I'm
it's like the premiere. It's the flagship of the network.
His rationale was like, if I'm going to create my own channel, I want like a name brand thing, and everybody at least is aware of From Dusk Till Dawn.
And it has some great straight up Mexican luchador wrestling.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, like it has its own, or it broadcasts a legit, Mexican luchador wrestling like federation.
Is it the Luchador Underground? Whatever.
Yeah, I think
yeah. I follow him on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, if you watched the El Rey network, you would be able to watch their matches.
Nice.
Is that like an online network?
It's it might be online. I know it's definitely part of like cable and satellite subscriptions as well.
I don't recall seeing it on my FiOS. So like when I was trying to watch From Dusk Till Dawn, the series, I had to like look for it online.
I don't think I have it on my channel package.
I believe it's one you actually have to sign up for, but it's
Is
like
it premium?
I think
HBO?
it falls under premium cable, but not to the same degree as like HBO. Like I think they still run commercials and such in between in it for like other
in between,
things.
but I don't think during.
Oh yeah, not like during programs, but like
Interesting.
Yeah, in between.
Yeah, I'd love to watch
like
stuff.
Disney back in the day.
yeah.
Disney used to be a premium channel, and they wouldn't have commercial breaks during the show, but they would have. But the shows would end, and there would be like a 15-minute break before the next show starts, and it was just straight commercials.
Right.
You know, one of my favorite moments, and I can't remember, so forgive me if it's in Desperado or if it's in Once Upon a Time in Mexico, but it's a scene with Antonio Banderas, and it's a shootout in a bar. So I know, again, being very vague.
Yeah.
But I think it's Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and he's got the classic guitar case with him, and there's a big shootout, blah blah blah. And he reaches down, and he's lying on the ground. He's got his back to the ground, and a dude jumps up, and he's like, "Josh, are you okay?" Okay,
I'm trying to picture in my head which one it's from.
Yeah, I was making sure he's still with us. And a dude jumps up, and he's about to shoot Antonio Banderas, and Antonio Banderas pulls out a shotgun, and he shoots the guy, and as the guy's falling toward him with gravity, he shoots him with the shotgun, and the guy goes flying backwards. And I love the
Desperado.
Is it?
And he's confusing with the gunfight in the bar and with the church.
Okay, so that's
okay.
Well
That's
done.
the bar scene where
With Steve Buscemi.
well the where Banderas first walks in, which I guess has got Buscemi. That's in Robert Rodriguez. He's like, that's the best scene probably the best thing I ever shot.
Oh, really?
I love that before they reveal Antonio Banderas, he's like the lighting is such that he's walking and you see like the shadow starting to rise across his body, and then right as it hits his neck, it just drops back down as if someone is just sitting there with what's known as a flag or something to disrupt the light in front of a light, and he's raising it up, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm not supposed to show his face," and pulls it back down to the effect that it's while Steve Buscemi is like making this mythical story happen, and he's like, "Hey, you never see his face."
I liked watching Josh just look up, and he was just the puzzle pieces I was throwing him and just rearranging them and putting them in the right order and
it was like watching
it was
numbers.
masterful. It was
like Mind Palace.
It was masterful, Josh, because you were just like, no, it was this, you're confusing this and this with this. So
yeah, it's because that was what Robert Rodriguez had to prove to the studio, that he could do something that wasn't shot on video, because all of El Mariachi is just shot on fucking home video, and he of course edited it and scored it himself. And he's like, when people see like Desperado, I've had professional, I've had Quentin Tarantino's editors and stuff come up to me and be like, it's very interesting, it's completely wrong for Hollywood, but you did it very well, because he shoots films with an editor's mindset, not so much with a director. I mean, he's obviously an awesome fucking director, but it's more from like, he knows how he's going to edit it as he's shooting it, like precisely. So whereas a lot of directors, like I feel like Tarantino finds his film in the editing room.
Yeah, like I feel it's probably most of them.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, Robert Rodriguez is a fascinating director because yeah.
Now, what's your favorite? If we've established favorite Tarantino, what's your favorite Robert Rodriguez film? Everyone, Desperado.
I gotta just
it might be El Mariachi for me, because like it's so beautifully low budget, like and if you watch like the DVD, if you get the DVD, he has all these like special features added onto it where he's like showing you how he made it with like no budget, and he's like okay, so I get it, people don't like it when you do this, but the way that I saved on tape was I knew how I was going to edit this shot together. So while I'm doing this shot, like it's a, back and forth between two people talking. He's like, I know I want the camera to get closer, tighter in on him. So he says his line, and then I know I'm going to cut away to this other guy, and I zoomed in, and he just kept saying, they just acted the scene all the way through. Whereas like on a big budget Hollywood thing, you'll do the entire scene from one zoom depth, and then then redo the scene from a different zoom depth. And like I watched that and I was like, what a waste of time. Yeah, do it Robert Rodriguez's style. Know how you're going to edit it.
Have you ever read his book?
No, I want to. That's been on my list of like I should own / read. Yeah,
it's good. Rebel Without a Crew, for all you at home that are wondering what the name of Robert Rodriguez's book is.
It's funny enough. Mine is probably Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
What took you out of it initially? Did you just not click
I don't know.
with it?
I don't know. It was one of those things, I saw in the theaters, and I...
was it when Johnny Depp said "Cuidado, piece of mojado"? Like it was some like crazy...
No, his character was even when I was watching it the first time, he was like this character I was fascinated with. This guy gets his fucking eyeballs ripped out, and he's just like, like shooting dudes, and what's the food that he's like obsessed with that he goes into every... Josh, shut me on this one, and I go get it. I believe in you. The food that he always tries whenever he's like, it's so good, I go and I shoot the cook.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know it's a pork dish, but beyond that, I can't recall what the name of it is.
Yeah, he's got like the fake arm and stuff, and
like
then like
relleno or like enchilada relleno or chicharron or
I don't remember. Anyway, but
I would say it's something close to the second one you mentioned.
But there's just then he meets Antonio Banderas. Antonio Banderas tries it, and he's like, "This is fucking shit." You know what I mean? This is the best pork I've ever had, man. And then fucking Banderas tries it. He's like, "This is fucking bullshit. Fuck you." It's probably that. I mean, I do like From Dusk Till Dawn a lot too. It's just a fucking wild ass movie.
That's Rodriguez and Tarantino's best collaboration.
They're fucking good,
in my opinion. They've collaborated a lot, but like that was like the perfect mix of like Quentin is writing it, and the first half of the movie is totally like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
And Rodriguez is directing it, and as soon as the vampire shows up, it like just becomes a Rodriguez movie. And Tarantino does such a great job writing for Rodriguez. I watched it with commentary a while ago, and like it's both of them talking, and both of them kind of like jerk each other off for being like, yeah, we have George Clooney in an action movie, and this is the first time he's ever done it. And now now he's being Batman, because like they were recording it while they were doing pre-production for Batman and Robin. But like one of my favorite quotes from that commentary is Quentin's talking about how like he was like, I knew, we came to this project together, so I knew that Robert was going to be directing. So when I got to the part where like all the vampires start jumping out and it just goes crazy, the line in the script is "all hell breaks loose," and then like it just lets Robert Rodriguez do whatever the fuck he wanted, and like it's beautiful how well it works. You know the reason why the vampires have green blood in that movie is because there's a limit to how much red blood you can have in a movie before it becomes NC-17.
Ooh.
So to make up
that's
for it,
why Evil Dead 2 had the multicolored blood too,
and why segments of Kill Bill are in black and white. Because you can have red blood as long as it's not red.
Oh, that's in all the international versions of Kill Bill Volume 1. The fight at the House of Blue Leaves is completely in color.
Yeah.
It's just the North American release where like, you can't do that. So like, fucking fine. And it's a sweet...
Although, I think it's a really cool stylistic thing, you know.
Like,
Had it been intentional, it would have been just as good.
Yeah, he definitely uses it to his advantage. And I love the transition. It clicks when she pulls the dude's eye out. That's when, and then when the lights go out is when it comes back to color. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. But yeah, Josh, do you have a favorite Rodriguez?
Those are also on Netflix. Most of Quentin Tarantino's
So is Machete
movies.
Kills, and I haven't seen that yet.
It's so good.
Is it? I gotta check
so
that out.
beautiful.
Yeah, you all.
I prefer it over the first.
To the first one?
I hope
It's got
that-
Gibson, man.
I
It's
hope
got Gibson in it.
I
And
hope
Gaga.
I hope they make Machete in Space, which is what they tease at the end of Machete Kills.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's
Go.
a 3-way tie for me.
Yeah.
It is
4 rooms.
Desperado,
Spy Kids 3D.
From Dusk Till Dawn, and Machete Kills.
You know who's the bad guy in Spy Kids 3D?
Stallone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple
Yeah.
Stallones.
It's right there on my bookshelf or
It's
on my DVD shelf.
It's
Yeah.
a legion of
It's
fucking
Legion of
Stallones.
Stallones. That's fantastic.
I'm taking this to the next level.
Like all the fat, like it's Inside Out. But imagine if Inside Out was all a different manifestation of
Stallone. Yeah. Even George Clooney is spoiler, but George Clooney is played by Sylvester Stallone.
Fantastic.
Huh.
George Clooney plays the president, played by.
I know it's been a while.
Sylvester
It's
Stallone.
we talked about this a while ago, but how do you guys still feel about the first Sin City?
I
still like it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still love the first Sin City.
Not soured by the second one.
No, I mean I can see all the flaws that exist in the second one and the first one, but they're not as bad. You know, it's not like say like the Pirates of the Caribbean movie where I'll watch the Pirates of the Caribbean sequels and all the problems and like that's a movie that's original film's legacy is tarnished by its sequels, like The Matrix. Though I feel like people call out Matrix Revolutions as the worst Matrix film. It's actually my favorite of the 2 sequels.
Really?
Yeah.
Reloaded's my favorite.
I remember, loving Reloaded in theaters, and the action sequences are good if a bit over long.
Yeah.
But it really, I don't know. There was something that wasn't quite there with Reloaded.
It's weird. This is so fucking cheesy, classic Jake. If you listen to these podcasts, that I'm about to say, and like, because I'm a little wiener when it comes to movies. The end of Reloaded is the only time in any of the Matrix sequels that like had me like misty-eyed and almost dropping tears, man. When he saves Trinity. That was so fucking. I mean, it'll never ever happen again. But I was marathoning the movies.
Just like the end of Tron Legacy.
Yeah, it's weird. I told you when I watched
yeah.
when I watched the I Fight for the Users, I was like, because like do you ever get that mood where you're like, I just want to fucking cry watching a movie? You know what I mean? I just want to fucking cry, like
Oh,
a
I
big
do.
old baby.
That's
Yeah.
the entire reason why I own Field of
Yeah.
Dreams.
Yeah.
yeah, like
Sometimes you just need a good.
I'm gonna be dehydrated. Throw in
Yeah.
ET or throw in the Iron Giant, which we could
Yeah,
talk
getting a
about.
re-release.
Yeah.
They're remastered. Yeah.
Yeah.
which I still haven't seen it, and I think I might wait until that
Oh, my
that
God.
theater showing and watch it in a theater.
Yeah, sit
like
if you-
God intended.
If
We're
you've
gonna
never
force you to,
if you've
Chris.
never seen it, you got it.
Who do you think you are? Have you
Chris.
seen yourself? Have you seen me?
Chris,
This-
you might want to, if you've never seen it before, you might want to sit far away from people because you will ugly cry at the end of that movie.
Good. That's
And
the only
it's-
kind of crying
oh,
I
it's
like
so,
to do.
It's my favorite Superman movie. But anyway, okay, so yeah, I was like, I want to watch Tron Legacy again, and because I was like, I want to fucking get hyped at the end of that movie. And the I Fight for the Users thing, if this is the first one podcast you're ever listening to, the first time I watched Tron Legacy, and what's his face goes, I Fight for the Users.
You mean Tron?
Yeah. Saves the day. I fucking like cried. I was like, this is, and no offense to Tron people, I like Tron just fine, but I was like, this is fucking Tron. Like, what the fuck is going on here? And I was like, I wasn't like E.T. or Mr. Holland's Opus crying, but I was, I had like, I had a tear. I had the the tier that like rolls out first, and the second tier follows super fast behind it because it has the trail of the first tier. Like
the trail of
the trail of it's just two tiers technically. That happened, and
fuck you, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
And so then I watched it again, and that scene happened, and I was like, "What the fuck? This is okay."
That was my reaction when I saw it in theaters the first time.
That's
I was like, this could have been built up so much better.
It's not the scene. It's not the. And I've talked about this on the show before, but it's not the. For me personally, it's not the. I fight for the users. It's when Clue 2 confronts them at the end at the portal, and he's like, "Look, I did," because that I've talked about this on the show. Mm-hmm. That film is about fathers and sons. You've got Sam and Flynn, but you've also got Clue as the kind of like the prodigal son with Flynn, who does everything that he thought Flynn wanted him to do, and he's like, I've done everything, and he's like, yeah, you did, but like he's like, I brought you perfection. He's like, we can't ever get perfection. It exists around us, yet we can never have it at the same time.
It's very Daft Punk.
Yeah. What was the guy that Ron Mars, the guy that wrote Emerald Twilight, he wrote a Superman Iron Giant team up.
Really?
In Adventures of Superman Volume 2, number 15. So if you love Ron Mars and the Emerald Twilight, and if you love Superman and the Iron Giant, read that fucking issue. Because that's the team up I never knew I wanted.
Sorry, I was just showing Chris something. This is like somewhat breaking news, I guess. Wes Craven's dead.
Wait, what?
What?
Wes Craven.
Way to just tear off that Band-Aid.
Well, what else are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
That's why we were like zoning out a bit.
Now,
according to whatever website that was that you
Well, I looked on Google before I said it because there's a bunch of Wes Craven.
Okay, because we have to be careful. It is the internet, and the internet does love to
the
kill
internet
celebrities
did say last
at times.
week that Arnold Schwarzenegger was dead.
As well
Deadline
as
said it. Let's see.
Oh yeah, I see.
The
Deadline,
voice of Darth
Hollywood
Vader.
Reporter.
Yeah. Seth Green. I mean, he tweeted it.
Damn.
Shit, it is real.
Damn. Well,
by now probably all of our listeners know, but we are finding out
right now.
Yeah.
Wes Craven. He was more for me, honestly, more so than John Carpenter. He really was, like, at least horror wise. I like Carpenter's non-horror films better.
But
I mean Halloween, but I can agree with
Wes
that.
was able to find a great line between like real gut-wrenching horror and psychological horror, and just combine the two perfectly.
I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street, like we talked about this ages ago, but like Nightmare on Elm Street,
the Witch, episode 15.
Yeah, has like always been my favorite franchise, and I think Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Still to this day one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Oh yeah.
Definitely the best in the series. In fact, I believe we have a commentary for that one
available. Yeah.
Not to pitch our own stuff while mourning Wes Craven.
But it is available.
Yeah.
But a way if you want to remember him and
I mean, for me, the Nightmare on Elm Street series completely supersedes the slasher genre, which honestly by the time that film came out, it was played out. Mike Myers had been around for so long, so had Jason fucking Voorhees. And like we say on that Halloween episode, there are no good fucking Friday the 13th movies. There's enjoyable ones, like Jason X.
Yeah.
But
take that, Chad.
Yeah. But the Nightmare on Elm Street, I think largely because it takes place within the dream realm, is so imaginative and so
visceral.
And it hits you where you live, literally. It was,
there's no way to escape your dreams.
Yeah, and of course the Scream trilogy, still haven't seen 4.
I still own it, and I still love it.
Yeah, but the 1 and 2 especially, 3 was always kind of weird. But 1 was like kind of like, I didn't know Wes Craven had that movie in him.
Yeah.
I didn't know Wes Craven had Scream in him.
Yeah. And I think that's half the reason why he made it, because he wanted to prove that he did. And then and Last House on the Left, one of his first big movies, is so iconic. Yeah. Like I can't watch it; it's so real.
No, it's rough.
And it's I love the Evil Dead movies, and one of my favorite things about the Evil Dead movies is that Sam Raimi and Wes Craven had kind of this back and forth thing going on, because if you look in the background of one of the scenes of the first Evil Dead, there's a Last House on the Left poster that's like kind of been torn off the wall in the basement of the cabin, and Wes Craven saw that and he was like, "Ha, that's cool." And when he was doing, I think it's the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I think Johnny Depp, when he's getting sucked into the bed, is watching Evil Dead. So then in Evil Dead Part 2, where that poster was, is now Freddy's glove.
It's funny because the reasons they were doing that is the point was, or the in-joke was, you think that movie's messed up? Well, in our universe, that's just a movie.
Yeah.
In our movie, this is actually happening. So they're
Yeah.
always trying to outdo each other, which was, this like little nod they would go back
Kind of
and
like
forth
how
to
in
it.
Halloween, they're watching The Thing.
How do you guys feel about The Hills Have Eyes?
That's another one that's really, really tough for me. Like,
It's brutal.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really fucking brutal.
Yeah, I'm not
70s
crazy.
Wes Craven's really fucking brutal.
I'm not crazy about like brutal like horror movies like that and like torture porn like with the Saw movies and stuff
Yeah,
like
the
that.
Eli
Yeah.
Roth stuff,
Mm.
sure.
Oh,
I'm personally not in general crazy about like visceral horror. I tend to go towards more like the paranormal kind of such. But I just realized he had directed. Well, I just looked up. He directed Red Eye,
yeah.
which
Underrated. Very
Yeah.
underrated.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd have to
Rachel
say,
McAdams and what's his name?
Cillian
Murphy.
yeah, I'd have to say that's my personal favorite from him that he's
Okay.
done that I can watch without having to
a very
close
good,
my eyes for any part of it.
Yeah, very good bottleneck movie.
And
Yeah.
fairly recent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Within the last like 10 years. What another thing I always liked about Nightmare on Elm Street is it wasn't like it didn't necessarily rely on jump scares like Halloween 2 or
Yeah.
I
wouldn't
don't
say-
know why
Yeah, there was, like-
Halloween 2 is like the one where I'm like fuck you.
Yeah.
But I could totally say Curse of Mike Myers. But
It felt like, much like its subject matter, it relied more on the
was-
fears that people would actually have,
It was-
like based on a dream.
it was built more on atmosphere.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
fear
you never knew what was going on or
Yeah.
what could happen.
When Chris was mentioning like Dream Warriors, when what's her name, I'm in my dream I'm beautiful and bad. When she confronts Freddy in that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's that under that subtext of drug addiction, or when the Dream Master goes out, or Wizard Master. The Wizard Master.
Yeah.
The one in the
yeah.
wheelchair,
Yeah,
right?
basically a dungeon
Oh,
master.
I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that little
He
kid.
looks
in
like
it.
a
He goes
Raimi.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
he does. He looks like Ted Raimi,
Yeah.
like minus.
But
Like,
yeah,
40
I
years.
feel so
Yeah.
so bad for him. And that's
He had such a
Larry
funny...
Fishburne's in that movie too, or Fishburne.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, he's one of the
Larry
orderlies.
Fishburne.
Yeah.
Larry.
Well, wasn't he Larry when he was Cowboy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Cowboy.
Cowboy Curtis.
Well,
on
I
Pee-wee's.
love Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah. Oh,
That's a fantastic movie.
It's better than a lot of the later Nightmare movies, mostly because
And Nightmare 2.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I put it up there as one of my
most-
favorite Nightmare movies.
Mostly because the further along, well, actually, technically, the only Nightmare movies that Wes Craven really had anything to do with were 1, 3, and New Nightmare.
Yeah,
and you can really tell because those are like the three, in my opinion, the
Highlights.
three best.
yeah,
You know.
definitely.
Oh, hands down, yeah.
And unfortunately, 2 is like one of the worst
2, in my opinion, like totally is like
because it's much like Halloween 3, least like the rest of the series.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I just think 2 is. I can't fault 2 for trying to be different, but I can fault it just for being a shitty movie.
Fair enough.
yeah.
I'll give you that. Also, Wes Craven, master of comedy, because Vampire in Brooklyn is one of the funniest, kind of like pseudo parodies of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
The big problem with Vampire in Brooklyn, Wes Craven wanted it to be more of a straight up horror film, and Eddie Murphy wanted it to be more of a comedy.
There was a bit of a butting head.
There's a tension there, which you don't necessarily get with another film that kind of tackles that in between. An American Werewolf in London, I think, handles that balance
it
better.
does it perfectly.
Or what's that Jack Nicholson movie where he's a werewolf?
Werewolf, yeah.
Wolf, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that that movie's kind of fucking weird now that I think about it.
Yeah.
He also did Cursed with Christina Ricci, which was kind of, if I remember correctly, kind of like a werewolf-y kind of movie.
Yeah. I remember the marketing for that. I never actually saw that flick.
I did see it, and like I felt like it got a lot of bad press. It wasn't great, but it was definitely not as bad as it was made out to be, I feel.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did Swamp Thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
With
yeah.
Adrian Barbeau?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Swamp
he, what,
Thing, which was on
produced
Netflix.
the-
I don't think it is anymore.
No, it's
but
not.
So
And
he-
also, the weird thing about Swamp Thing is that it was like the French version on Netflix. Like if you stream,
Oh, really?
Yeah, all the credits. Like I think the dialogue was still
Yeah.
spoken English, but like all the the text credits and stuff like that, all French.
So he directed a superhero movie.
He did. He directed Swamp
That was that was in the 80s too, when Swamp Thing was fucking king.
Yeah.
At DC.
He also directed My Soul to Take, which felt like a weird attempt at doing Nightmare on Elm Street without doing Nightmare on Elm Street.
That was not good.
That was just standard slasher fare.
yeah.
I thought.
It felt like a way to market to like the
I didn't
teens
hate
of
it.
that period.
It was one of those
It
ones
was-
that, well, I think again it was, they got the Wes Craven name attached to it, and I think
Yeah,
it
it's
just
like I want
it-
to do a slasher movie.
it was
a
pretty
victim of its time.
Yeah, it was pretty standard, but
especially if because he's done slasher films before, much better.
yeah. Mhm.
Like the Scream series.
Like Scream specifically. That's more. That's the closest to traditional. I mean, it is traditional slasher.
Was
So
he-
there's
was-
meta elements.
Was
throughout.
he? I'm assuming he was, but I don't know how hands-on he was with the Scream TV show. Do you
Good
know?
I think
question.
it was just in name.
Just a name only.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know
didn't
he
if
was pretty hands-on with the Last House on the Left remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an executive producer on that. He
I
wasn't
thought
happy.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, it was all right. Garrett Delahunt makes a good
Yeah,
villain
he
in that
does.
Krug, but
I can imagine he had some input for the television series.
sure,
he
and
wasn't pleased with. I can't speak to Scream television, but he wasn't pleased with the Nightmare on Elm Street remake because he was like,
Oh
they,
yeah,
they
no,
shut him out of that one.
Well,
Mm.
and everyone and their mother would agree. Like, guys, this was just. Why did we do this? Yeah, sure, Jackie Earle Haley's amazing, but
Yeah.
Fun fact, Jackie Earle Haley actually auditioned to be Johnny Depp's character in the first Nightmare on Elm Street and lost it to Johnny Depp because Johnny Depp drove Jackie Earle Haley to the audition. Johnny Depp didn't even audition for the part. It was
It's
Wes
like Mel
Craven.
Gibson and Mad Max.
Yeah, Wes
Yeah.
Craven came out and was like, "I like this kid's look. Can he act?"
that's a
He
really
can.
weird roundabout way to finally get into the franchise you auditioned for.
right?
Yeah. Well, he was fresh off the Watchmen success
Yeah.
at the time.
Oh,
So he was a big
yeah,
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
Right.
Children.
Then
which
after
is really
that,
good, too.
after that, he does what? Human Target, or right around that time.
Yes, but
But-
gee, I wonder now. Like Jake, you mentioned with the Scream series, like if it's actually going to be able to survive now. Like,
got renewed for a second season.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
seen any, but I was interested to check out an
watched-
episode or two.
Watched the first episode and it was very MTV.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of
Yeah.
figured.
I mean, it's
Teen
an
Wolf.
MTV show. Yeah, just like Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf. Buddy Beetroots are on Teen Wolf.
Created by Jeff Davis, not the Jeff Davis from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Have you guys seen Scream Queens?
No, did that start yet?
I
I think it's starting in September.
yeah, I don't think it's
It
started
looks
yet,
really
but that
good. It's
looks
by-
exciting.
It's by the guys
Vigorous-
that do
vigorously check.
Oh, yeah, that
American
had-
Horror Story.
I
Ryan Murphy, yeah.
Yeah,
swear that had Wes Craven's name attached to it as well.
could have. I mean, kind of like Stan Lee, he kind of throws his name around, and that's how people get funding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a bummer, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah,
he was one of the reasons why I had trouble sleeping at night.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, Freddy Krueger is such an iconic character. Him and Jason, honestly, more so than Mike Myers, because even though Halloween's better than Friday the 13th, Jason is just so fucking iconic.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like
There's-
Well, they're all iconic for their own rights,
Yeah.
or for their own reasons.
But for some reason, like, Jason stuck out more as a
I
kid.
think
Yeah,
mostly
for me
because Mike Myers had such a singular goal. You know,
Yeah.
he was going after his bloodline and just happened to kill people who got in the way. Whereas Jason was like, I'm gonna fucking kill everyone.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm even gonna kill this guy. You know?
Well, I mean, even just visually too.
Yeah.
Whereas like Mike Myers is just like the shape. He's
Mm.
he's Captain Kirk mask. With
it's so weird and awesome and crazy.
Yeah.
Have you heard the story about when they had like they had no budget for Halloween,
yeah.
and so they had the prop guy go out to the local Halloween store and get 2 masks, and he came back with a clown mask, and for some reason grabbed a William Shatner mask, and so they had the guy go in and try it on, and he came out with the clown mask. Everyone, ooh, scary, oh, very scary, oh, and he's like, try on the Shatner mask, and he went and he came out, and nobody said a word. And they all just stared at him. They were like, Jesus Christ. And so obviously they tousled the hair, they cut the eyes open a little bit more and painted it white.
Jesus Christ.
But the thing that's so stupid about the Halloween movies is he starts wearing a Michael Myers mask. Like by the time he comes back in the fourth one, he's no longer wearing a fucking Shatner mask. He's wearing like a Michael Myers mask.
Oh, the shape looks terrible and like
yeah. And then in Resurrection, it's like this like super detailed, cheekboned eye. Ridiculous.
Basically, like just his skin but painted white, looking kind of thing.
The shape looks great in the zombie flicks.
Oh yeah,
but
I love the zombie.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of mask change, the Scream series has a completely different mask for Ghostface Killer.
It's a really weird it clearly looked at it much like before we were recording, we were talking about Casey Jones and how his mask changed shape so much. Like, clearly it's always based on a hockey mask, but like, where did they come up with these designs?
Yeah.
Much like the Scream series, like that. I was like, okay, I'll give the Scream series a chance. I love Scream, and like I saw the mask and I was like, never mind.
Wasn't the original title supposed to be Scary Movie for the first one?
So.
I thought I always heard that.
Yeah.
Which was then
the
co-opted.
parody.
Yeah.
Which I think works better. The Scary Movie sounds like a parody.
Yeah,
it's too on the nose
for
that to be because Scream is very self-aware.
I do love the movie series, the horror film series inside Scream. The movie within the movie is called Stab.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
that's right.
yeah.
Jada Pinkett Smith going out.
Yeah.
During the premiere.
With Omar Epps.
Yes.
Oh, in the bathroom.
Omar Epps. Yeah.
Scream 2. That was a great flick, man.
I might have to watch those movies. I might have to watch all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies too.
Man, might have to change up our Halloween lineup.
I might have to not sleep for a week.
Yeah. Never. And if you guys at home have never watched the Never Sleep Again documentary about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, fucking watch it.
Do yourself a favor.
Even if you don't think you're a fan or you're not a fan, watch it. It's
a well done doc. It's really just a great documentary.
It's fantastic.
About a great subject matter.
Yeah, great, and really the great, because I feel like after the 70s, like horror almost existed, I guess, outside of The Exorcist and The Haunt and The Omen existed, and even then you got the derivative sequels. Like after those like two good movies, and you got like progressively worse sequels. But I feel like by the late 70s, before Halloween, horror movies were on a slump, and then the first Halloween came out and it reinvigorated it, and then it was on a slump again because Halloween had sequels that got progressively worse. And then it was Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street, for some reason, just fucking connected with people on a scale that, like, Freddy, unlike Mike Myers or Jason Voorhees, he had a fucking HBO show. He had, like, there was so much merchandise. He had an NES game, which was somehow... It was okay. It was better than the Friday the 13th NES game. That one fucking blew. But the... I'm going to have to play that. But the... yeah, man. So thanks for all the memories, Wes. Like, that was... It was good.
Thanks for the nightmares.
Yeah, thanks for the nightmares. Thanks for letting me keep an eye on all the shadows in my room.
Yeah,
because it was a fucking blast, honest to God. And I honestly don't think there's any. I think that about wraps it up, guys.
I don't think we can jump anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, if you guys don't got anything else, it's been another installment of Catching Up. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
I'm Josh.
We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you very much, Wes.
Good night, Eric Bana and Wes Craven.
Are you kidding me? Just go there, geek out, have a good time.